The biggest is, again, the accountability and having someone be on my side and believing in me and keeping me on the target. You have so much information and knowledge and expertise, and you're looking at it from a bird's eye view.
So the first thing that I always tell any entrepreneur that I'm working with is you have to know what you're selling. Most entrepreneurs have a disconnect because they don't realize that they're selling an experience. Hello, and welcome to Soul Aligned CEO Podcast, the show that shares the journeys of entrepreneurs from all around the world who have started businesses and they are doing that soul aligned. I'm your host, Jenni Morey, and on today's episode, I am so excited to welcome back returning guest, Cheryl Lee Scott. She is the CEO of Psychic Love Healing LA. Welcome back, Cheryl.
Thank you so much for having me, Jenni. I'm glad to be here.
So if you didn't catch Cheryl's first episode, she was actually one of the original podcast guests when I first started out. So make sure you go back and listen to that episode. It's episode 3, and we dive deep into all of the incredible offerings that Cheryl provides with her psychic and mediumship business. And so make sure and check that episode out. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I asked Cheryl to join me today to have a conversation about business coaching. So Cheryl and I have been working together for the last month or so on a one-on-one basis doing business coaching. So I wanted to just share some insight and give everybody a little bit of a glimpse into what that experience is like. So today we're going to talk a little bit about where Cheryl was at before we started working together. And then also what the experience has been like working with me. And then we're going to turn the tables and Cheryl's going to ask me some questions. So a little bit different episode, but I think it's going to be fun. So thanks again for joining me.
My pleasure.
So let's go back to where you were a couple months ago when I first came to you with the idea of doing one-on-one coaching. Where were you in your business?
I have been practicing for about 3 years, and I really was just on my own trajectory. I sort of, because I'm an intuitive healer, I do things intuitively, and I have had other businesses in the past, but I didn't have a direct strategy. So in a way, I did feel that guidance would be wonderful. And so when you approached me, it seemed like the perfect fit. And it was a way for me to get more strategic on what I'm offering and how I'm putting it out to the world. So it's been a wonderful experience so far.
So then, would you say then you said yes because you were hoping to kind of get some more guidance on how to kind of have a more strategic approach? Is that kind of what sparked your interest?
Definitely, rather than just throwing things out there to see if they stick, because with the world of social media, which is what I really use as my main way of attracting new clients and reaching out to people, there are so many different avenues to go about it. And I think that I wasn't really looking at it from a business practical perspective. I was looking at it from what I wanted to do creatively, which isn't always in line with how you grow your business. So you can have great ideas, but if you don't have that business strategy behind it and a plan, then your ideas might kind of go into a black hole. And when you said that you were willing to help guide me, it just felt like the universe was bringing this to me, which was in alignment with everything else that I'm doing. So that's basically where we're at.
Yeah. So then did you have any doubts or hesitations before we started?
No, I felt that your experience, what you had told me about your own business journey and your own business that you've created for yourself, what that knowledge would be really valuable to me. And even though maybe I'm not that new at being an entrepreneur, I hadn't had the success in business that I want to. And to be able to bounce ideas off of someone who has created a successful pattern for themselves and then is willing to help people, it was just very natural. So I felt like it was the right fit.
Yeah, it did really feel like a really great fit when we first started. So then let's talk a little bit about what the experience has been like. So just to give everyone a little bit of a picture. So we have been meeting weekly for about an hour, hour and a half or so. And we really just kind of dive in and explore different aspects of Cheryl's business. So let's talk about how that's been for you and what you've gained from that.
Well, first of all, accountability, because we don't always have that with ourselves. Everyone's different, right? We all have different personalities, different lives, different schedules. So to have that accountability, it's almost like you're on a sports team and you're the coach and I'm one of the players. And that analogy is sort of like old for me because I haven't played on a team sport since high school. But it brings back the accountability and then being able to focus what you're doing and then stick to it, because you're going to have homework. I'm just going to call it that. And you're going to have deadlines and things that you want to meet. And it was just really getting everything firmed up and honed in so that I could get to the point to launch my first online live workshop. So I was doing one-on-one readings for clients for psychic intuitive healing or mediumship, but I wanted to do a teaching workshop. And in order to get the traction and the momentum, I needed to stick to a schedule. And that's what you really helped me with.
Oh, that's great. So then so we talked about the weekly sessions, and you're right, I did give you homework, and I'm kind of a pretty strict teacher probably, but it's very intentional. And really when I work with different entrepreneurs, I kind of get a sense of what do they really need? Like, what do they need help with? And I'm kind of coming in at a bird's eye level and trying to not only just share general business expertise, which honestly you could get that anywhere, but it's customizing that to you and kind of what you need. And so what's really been the biggest benefit that you've seen kind of working with me for your business?
I mean, there's so much, but the biggest is, again, the accountability and having someone be on my side and believing in me and keeping me on the target, because we all want to sway. It's like you want to do things your own way, but that's not necessarily going to lead you to the end goal. So for you to be able to gently remind me of what my goal is, because I think a lot of people, we're not looking at it from an outside perspective, right? We're not looking at it from like a client perspective. And so you have so much information and knowledge and expertise, and you're looking at it from a bird's eye view. So that's what's been so like really monumental for me, because I changed in such a short period of time from not knowing how to like set the ball in motion to accomplishing this goal and now getting ready to prepare for the next year.
Yeah, you really did. And you have done an amazing job. And, from a coach-client relationship, you're like the dream client to work with, because you have so much trust and faith. And, you just kind of take the information and, we've had such great dialogues and, just bouncing ideas off of each other too, has been really fantastic. So who would you recommend this type of business coaching for?
Well, like I said, I have had different businesses. I had my own art gallery. I was a real estate agent for many years. I've done a lot of different things, but so I'm not necessarily a new entrepreneur. I've been self-employed, but I didn't go to business school. So I feel like it's for anyone who wants to have their own business and wants a crash course in being an entrepreneur, being self-motivated, staying on target, and really getting that support that you're not probably even going to get if you go to business school, because it's so many people and it's not customized, like you said. So if you want to really go into like what your needs are, because we have a mutual trust. So you saw what I needed and where my strengths are and where my weaknesses are. And then like dropping the story of whatever it was that was holding me back. So there's the whole spiritual aspect to it as well, because this business is different that I'm running now than a real estate business or an art gallery, but you're still selling a product and you're a brand. And it's just been great.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, I often tell people it doesn't matter if you're selling toothpaste or tacos, or if you're teaching or coaching or doing something. The kind of fundamental business techniques really apply to everything. And so that's really what I want to make sure that people understand, that it doesn't matter if I have necessarily familiarity with your particular industry. That's not what we're really working on. We're kind of talking about just general fundamentals of business and how to sell and generate leads and attract clients and kind of all of that good stuff.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
The psychology behind it and having those touch points where I might have just done it in a roundabout way, and to get more concise and really stand in your power, because what you're offering has value, what I'm offering has value, what you're offering has value. But if we don't stand in that and we share it like more mysteriously because we're afraid maybe to get to that place where you can be more strategic, but not in a manipulative way. So I think that that's what's so great about it. You know, there's so many coaches online, there's so many people, and there are a lot of people with ulterior motives, just like with psychics, you know, and you see a clairvoyant with a crystal ball and you're like, what is not real? So I think that it's just being aligned like in that same frequency of life. And that's how we met and how we came together too. So
Yeah.
it's just
And
wonderful.
And I'm not promising that you're going to make $1 million next month, you know, so there's a trajectory of what we're doing and how you grow a business and how you have that consistency and repeatable patterns and all of the things that really have sustainable business growth. And so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. And I do really customize it to whatever you're doing and what your goals and your needs are.
Well, and the thing is that people aren't going to make $1 million at all if you don't take the chance on yourself.
Right.
And you don't get really clear with strategy. So that's what you're teaching me. That's what you're showing me. And then to have a proven track record for yourself and knowing what works, and then to be able to share that with your students, with the people that work with you.
Yeah, that's great. So let's flip the script a little bit, and I will hand the hosting over to you, and you are going to ask some questions that you've prepared for me.
Okay. Well, first of all, what led you to choose this genre of people to work with as a business coach?
So I have been an entrepreneur for almost 20 years now, and I have worked mainly in the corporate space and doing a lot of consulting and coaching in that world. And I got to a place in my life just on a spiritual journey that maybe isn't as fulfilling as it used to be. And so I have been trying to think about, you know, how could I, like you said, use my experience and skills that I have kind of built up over the last 2 decades, and how can I share that maybe with a different type of client that would have a greater impact to people, like on a one-on-one basis. And so the journey kind of has been evolving, and I am feeling much more excited about this space that I'm in now with all of the soul-aligned CEO concept. And so it's really important to me to coach people that love what they're doing. It's not going to work if you don't. And if you aren't aligned kind of from a higher perspective in what you're spending your time on, it's going to be much more challenging to be successful. And I'm not saying that you can't be. There are many successful people that are absolutely miserable doing what they're doing every day. But that's not the type of energy that I'm hoping to expand on. And so that's where this whole concept of soul-aligned CEO was born.
Awesome. And I think that people who are entrepreneurs and self-employed, they don't have the support system of a huge corporation. So to be able to disperse that individually so that people can have a support system, but not necessarily need to like work for a huge corporation that has all these marketing dollars, and because there's accessibility has changed. So you seeing that specifically in this field as well is just really timely. Okay, next question. What type of community are you creating with Soul Aligned CEO?
Thank you for asking that, because that's actually, I would say, the most important reason why I'm doing all of this is to start to build a community. And so that community is of like-minded entrepreneurs. So I start every show with, this is the show that tells the story of entrepreneurs from all around the world who have started businesses, and they're doing that soul aligned. And so bringing those like-minded entrepreneurs together and seeing that even though they might come from all different types of modalities. So in the community, we have healers, we have artists, we have, all kinds of different types of businesses, but joining everyone's energy together is what's really impactful. And so the community that I am creating is a space where we can all come together and support each other, believe in each other, and really almost have a ripple effect with the energy, because we each can become successful together, and then that energy expands and kind of goes out into the rest of the world.
I love that. Thank you. Okay, next question. What was the motivation and turning point for you to invest time in doing this work in addition to your consulting business? So the podcast, the coaching, and the community creation. And really, what are you getting out of it?
Yeah. So, the turning point was really this summer. I had come to a point where, again, like I mentioned, I wanted to not stop, but step away a little bit from my more matrix consulting business that I've run, because it just felt like something's missing. And I'm not ever going to necessarily leave that. That's kind of like my baby. Like I have grown that into something, and it's a huge accomplishment for me. But I was missing something. And this summer, I actually took a master class with Danielle Page. And in that master class were a few hundred other entrepreneurs. And we all kind of came together in this forum to learn more about online businesses, because she's really speaking to social media businesses, which is something that I wanted to learn more about. And so coming together with this group was really the turning point for me, because as I started to learn about all of these different businesses, I realized that no one's telling these stories. Like, you can listen to a lot of business podcasts out there, but they are often sharing the stories of people that are already millionaires. They're already billionaires. They've already had this wildly successful journey. And while that's inspirational, it's not always really realistic to really understand, how do I now take my idea and grow it? And so it occurred to me that I could really shine a light on all of these stories of people at various phases of being an entrepreneur. So many people like yourself who have been running businesses for several years, where some of the others are brand new entrepreneurs. And so I just had a nudge that I couldn't shake, Cheryl. And as much as I could just be relaxing at the beach and enjoying almost like a semi-retirement, it was a calling. It was like an inner knowing that I needed to make sure that all of your stories are heard. And at first, it seemed crazy. I was like, why do I want to start a podcast? I know nothing about starting a podcast, but it just felt right. And so that was really the turning point. And I've learned, I guess, over the last few years that it's a lot easier to just listen to those nudges, because eventually they're going to just kick you and put you on your butt if you don't listen to them. And so I just jumped in, and then people like yourself and people from the group, other people that I know that are entrepreneurs, the support and the excitement about it has just been fantastic. And so you asked me when I'm really getting out of it. That's a really good question, because I'm giving a lot of time, and it's an investment, and it's something bigger than what is the monetary return going to be for this. Now, of course, being the business person that I am, I definitely have a plan for next year and things that I am going to offer and sell. Mm-hmm. But that's really not what I'm getting out of it. I'm getting out of it knowing that there's connection and there's a higher purpose occurring. And I listen to Wayne Dyer, so Dr. Wayne Dyer, almost daily. And he's been a big inspiration to me for most of my adult life. And a book of his that I am listening to now, his memoir, actually, one of the last books he published, he talks a lot about acts of service and asking the universe how you can serve. And that's really where I was at this summer. And so that's how all of this, that was really the turning point and how all of this came to be.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
What tip or tips would you give to entrepreneurs that want to have their own businesses, be self-employed?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say two things. And one is very strategic and tactical, and then the second is more mental and kind of emotional. So the first thing that I always tell any entrepreneur that I'm working with is you have to know what you're selling. And that might seem obvious, like, hey, I'm offering coaching sessions or I'm selling essential oils. Okay, sure, from your perspective, that's what you're creating. But what are you actually selling? And so that's the point where most entrepreneurs have a disconnect because they don't realize that they're selling an experience. And so what someone is looking to buy isn't necessarily a certain coaching session or a psychic reading. They're looking to buy something that's going to either help them feel a certain way, give them information, help them to learn. They're buying the experience. And so that's the first tip I give to anyone who is an entrepreneur or wants to be, is really understand what you're selling is not the physical creative thing that you're making. It's how it makes someone feel.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's so in line with what a lot of people want to put out there. They want to find this way to bottle. So you've got your product, but you're also your own individual spirit and ingenuity, and then putting it together and being able to monetize it, because we all have to survive. So, and then taking, like, kind of demystifying and taking away the part of, like, oh, I'm in lack and I'm new and I don't have enough money for this, I don't have enough money for that. But if if you stay there rather than making the plan, then you're not going to get to the next stage where you can help more people. So
Yeah.
when I grow my business, I'm able to help more people. You grew your other business. Now you're able to start a new business to help a different genre of people. And it's just that connection, right? It's like that's what we're all searching for as human beings. And so to bring it down to a human level, which when you're in these big corporations, it sometimes can get lost. But I think that there's also opportunities there to connect with people who want to be soul aligned, no matter what business you're in, what company you're in.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I do hope to kind of full circle bring it back, to my original community that I worked with also. But very interesting because you actually segued into what my second tip is that
Well, I am a psychic.
that I would give to my entrepreneurs. And that's all about the story. You have to really examine the story that you're telling yourself about your business every single day. When you wake up in the morning and you get up, you get your coffee, stretch, do whatever it is you're going to do. It's that conversation in that period of time that you're having with yourself about what you're doing, and you're going to work. I think that's a misconception. I mean, and obviously you've been an entrepreneur now for a while, but a lot of newer entrepreneurs, that self-talk can really get to them and almost halt them from continuing, because it's a lot to self-motivate and get yourself kind of in a habit of doing work you're reporting to yourself every morning. So you're only letting yourself down if you don't show up. And so that story that you have running constantly in your head needs to be free of all those rocks that you carry around. So yeah, so those are the two tips. Know your business and be really mindful of your language and what you're telling yourself. Great question.
Very important tips. And I appreciate all the time that you are investing into this, into the community, into me and my own business. And like you said, it's for a higher purpose, and you can feel that with what you're doing. And I'm just excited to see what happens. And what you said about people being entrepreneurs, but having to like motivate themselves and stay on schedule. And a lot of things changed during the pandemic too, people working from home. Everybody has a different operating system. And it's just like what you're doing is customizing it for each person. And that, so then I don't feel like triggered or that I'm going to get in trouble. Like I know that there's a flexibility, but I also like having the second set of eyes and then the goals to work toward, and then having someone to celebrate it with too. So there's so many layers to having a business coach. And I wouldn't have probably like looked for the opportunity myself, because you think, oh, I can do it on my own. But then when you start to really dive deep into what's out there and available for you, you realize that two heads are better than one.
And there goes my light. That's okay. Yeah, two heads are definitely better than one. And I had so many coaches and mentors when I first started my business, and I am so very grateful for that experience. And so I'm kind of just trying to return that favor in a lot of respect. So let's just talk really briefly about what's next for you and kind of share with everyone what we've been talking about in our recent sessions, really laying out a plan for the next year and really why it's important to do that. And so we've kind of started talking about objectives and, what you want to be offering for next year and goals. So how has that experience been?
It's different for me because in the past I would, like I said, just sort of like fly by the seat of my pants and just go along with where the wind took me. And that kind of always left like a little bit of instability. Of course, it's exciting to not know, but then to commit to a budget and to what you want to earn for the 4 quarters and monthly, and to think about like what you need to do to get to those goals. is something out of the ordinary for me because I didn't put that, I don't want to call it pressure, but I didn't really lay it out like that with my other businesses. And it's giving me peace of mind to believe in myself more. And then I know that there's flexibility within that. So I'm just really excited. I'm excited about planning and sticking to these strategies and working towards goals. Whereas before it was like I said, like sort of grasping at straws, like seeing what will stick, and then certain things will pop up. But to have a little bit more framework and to move within that. That's what you're getting to me.
I love that. I think that's going to be my new strategy or slogan, like work with Jenni and you'll be excited about planning.
Yeah.
Because it's true. I mean, and I love it. Like I am such a planner and that's like the foundation of everything that I do. But you're right. I am customizing it to what you need. And because I want you to succeed and I want you to be happy. Like none of this matters if you're not enjoying the experience. And so while I can be a tough coach at times, I try to also see where you're at and what you need. And, you're ready. I mean, and I'm so excited for you and everything that you are creating with Psychic Love Healing LA. And so let's just tell everybody, again, how they can get in contact with you right now. And then also, just what you maybe see for the future with what you're doing.
Right now, the best way is on Instagram, Psychic Love Healing LA. My name is Cheryl Lee Scott. I also have a personal page and I have a YouTube page and TikTok. I don't do TikTok as much, but I have plans for other 1-hour workshops. I want to do some courses where I'm dropping in like 20 minutes a day for maybe 10 to 20 days in a row so that we can have some consistency. And really what I love learning. I love teaching the modules, helping people demystify what it is to be an intuitive healer, what it is to be a psychic, mediumship, which can be very triggering at first. You're connecting with people who have passed away. And but it opens up this whole opportunity for our lives to go on and our information stays in the universe. And what the workshop that we just did, the Past Lives workshop, what I loved about that was being able to connect with a part of ourselves that we might not like have had access to through our normal education. I mean, I have a degree from UCLA in political science, and that doesn't mean that I can't believe and have curiosity about this quantum field. So I really love learning and sharing that knowledge with people. And
such a good teacher.
Oh, thank you. And I'm excited to continue the programming to be able to get this information out there in my way, because everybody learns differently and some people connect with different people, and it's going to be my way of doing it, but within the boundaries of like what a good business strategy should be.
Right. We want to work smarter.
Yeah.
We really want to work smarter, and that's also something that I kind of bring to the coaching is we want to really spend our time and energy on things that are going to help, build your exposure, build your audience, build awareness. And so there is strategy behind that, and it can seem overwhelming. And that's why I thought it was really cool that you said, I'm really excited about planning and, putting that strategy together. And so that's the feeling that I'm trying to convey, and that's really what moves things forward. So,
well, and there's just so many distractions in our world right now because of technology, but then it gives us access as well. So I feel like you're coming into this at the perfect time. I mean, obviously you're already a consultant, but coming into the one-on-one and then the courses that you're going to create, there's really this like opportunity for people to stop with the distractions, because then we lose our momentum and we lose our focus, and we're all falling prey to it in all different walks of life.
Oh, completely. Yeah. So 2024 for you is going to be, laying out your objectives and the goals that you want to achieve. And then I'm going to help you really set the actions and the plans behind how you can do that. So I'm super excited to keep working with you and to see everything that you continue to create and accomplish. I'm very, very proud of you, Cheryl.
Thank you so much. It's been a beautiful experience, and I'm just so grateful that the universe brought us together.
Me too. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time today to give people insight on what it's like to work with a business coach, because maybe some people have been curious about it and maybe they don't know what to expect. And so I really appreciate you sharing your personal experience, because I can say from my experience what I'm doing, but I can't really capture the essence of like how that lands with you as the actual person receiving it. And so I really, really appreciate that perspective. And I do just want to let everybody know that next year I will be opening up more coaching spots, and I always do a discovery call for free. And so if anyone is ever interested in one-on-one business coaching, they can contact me on Instagram also. So this has been really fantastic. A lot of fun having you interview me also. So I really appreciate that, Cheryl. So thank you again for being here today.
You're welcome.
And so thank you everyone for listening. I hope that you have found this episode informative and interesting and maybe even inspiring. And until next time, I wish you much peace, love, and joy as you pursue being soul aligned.